Look, me and this girl are out, and look what she picked for me. This is a boy, by the way. He's my goat, bro. He's my goat. Alright, well, I guess this is gonna be the next video. You can see the shirt that I put on for the occasion. Something to do with the title or thumbnail or something that I'm gonna put in this video. But this video, I have a structure in my notes app for this video. And, you know, obviously you see the title of the video, which is You Need Human Sacrifices. And then all this is not no some crazy satanic crap. No, bro, I don't mess with any of that. But this is gonna be a somewhat serious video, so if you need editing and this and that and flashing effects and all this crazy stuff, get the fuck off of the page, because that's not what I'm here to do. Although I do like inserting some funny stuff in my videos, I'm not, you know, someone that inserts like hyper reactive stuff into their videos. So if you want that, then you're gonna have to leave, because this video is for, you know, intelligent people only, people that can actually understand stuff without needing stimulation 24/7 every millisecond of the video. And this video is also going to serve a purpose. So if you have a low attention span, then you're not going to like this video. But if you have a actually human livable attention span and you're intelligent, then you're going to actually gain something from this video, which in, you know, my hopes is that I hope you do. But yeah, if you need to, you can put this video in the background if you need to do something, if you're, you know, something actually somewhat productive. But other than that, aside from all of that extra stuff, yeah, you should probably pay attention. So let me pull up my notes app. Well, I have a structure for the video. I'm learning how to write scripts. I have somewhat of a script, but in this video, in this one, I'll just be for the intro. Obviously, it's going to be about why this video is necessary. So, you know, some of you clicked on this video thinking, what the hell is this nigga talking about? Some of you clicked on this video thinking, if you know me in real life, obviously you're gonna be like, what is this nigga talking about? You know, the purpose of this video is to prove to you why you need human sacrifices. And, you know, I'll get into that in a sec here. Again, I'm delaying the inevitable, but if you take into account what I'm saying and you follow the steps, I would say, but most importantly, you go through with it, your life will change for the better. You'll have improved in every aspect that you wanted to and that you didn't even know you could improve in. And ultimately, it's for the well-being of yourself. It has to be done. You need the human sacrifices. Look at the time. Yep, y'all see the wallpaper though. Y'all see the... Yes, sir, yes, sir. But it's a necessity and it will lead you to a better life. So now let me go to the meat of the video pretty much. I'm going to talk about my story. I'm going to talk about how I had to sacrifice, how I had to have human sacrifices. And, you know, it was actually worth it. So what do I mean when I say human sacrifices? Now, what I'm saying is not only do you need to cut off the subhumans in your life, not only do you just need to cut them off, but make them your sacrifice. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, let me talk about my story. In middle school, I would say I had this, you know, group of friends, and, you know, a lot of men can relate to my story. A lot of the boys can relate to my story. But I had a group of friends, and, you know, we were all playing games back then. We were all, you know, we pretty much, you know, we're only just playing games and doing crap and just like messing around. And, you know, I guess it was middle school, I would say, late middle school, because I know, let me try to remember. I think it was, yeah, early middle school. You know, I had, you know, my group of friends and we're playing games, but that's all we were doing. I don't know why it was me that was blessed with this intelligence, but I was extremely dissatisfied. Like, the people that knew me growing up and the people that know me in real life know, like, when it comes to monetary value and when it comes to things I want, I always get what I want, right? So how could I be dissatisfied when I already have what I want? At this time, you know, middle school, whatever. You know, I was, whatever, playing these games. For years of middle school, I was just, you know, I wasn't really developing. And by developing, I mean everything but physically, because obviously you gotta grow. But spiritually, emotionally, mentally. As a human being, I was not growing. I was just, staying in my same old, playing games and doing crap. And I took it upon myself to definitively, throughout the middle school years, at the end of my middle school years, I started to kind of break out of my shell. And I played on the basketball team, the school basketball team, while trying to keep in touch with those previous subhumans, right? And, a lot of, athletes will understand this when you have your athlete people and your other people. And, you try to appease both. You try to be like, yeah, I got to practice today, but then I got to play this game, but then I got this. I was an extremely athletic kid. I was in both soccer and basketball at the same time, both on club teams. Plus, I was on my basketball school team. So I was basically in 3. That kind of runs in my family. But we're Africans. What do you expect? I tried to appease both. But while I was in the process of doing that, COVID happened and I got eliminated. I got eliminated. And yeah. That crap happened. But what do you think I did in COVID? In COVID, like, I was a freaking frick. I was a bum. It was just like, I couldn't even go out or do anything. It was constantly just gaming with the people, 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 So eventually my soul started to freaking weep, and I was like, damn, I gotta do something, right? This cannot be my life. So when COVID ended around, when I started high school, there were people in my class and in my high school that, like, we knew, like, I knew a lot of the people, and, I was kind of friends with everybody, like, from that old school into high school. So, like, we kind of all knew each other. And I was doing some, self-reflection through that time of COVID and the start of high school. And I was just like, I can't anymore. I can't live like this. So, and people have mixed opinions about this, and you could call me a bad person, but I don't care. I had to eradicate the people in my life that, I was playing games with. I had to pretty much eliminate the only people that I had, the only sense of brotherhood and community that I had. I forced myself to eradicate it into nothingness. And, everyone was confused. They're like, oh, I'm doing this, I'm like this, that, like. The thing is, you can't do it like a woman. Like, okay, I know it sounds crazy, but you can't do it in like a dumb way, I would say. So don't go to like the people, right? And don't be like, oh, I don't want to talk to you anymore, or this and that. Like, or when they talk about you or talk around you, just like silence. It does not matter. It should not matter to you. Because the most important fact is you're cutting off the subhumans. That's the most important fact. So you don't need to gossip, you don't need to this and that, and go around and talk to people. Like, what I did is I pretty much just cut off everyone from the past. And I went solo for a while. I went solo for a bit. But, that was the greatest thing I've ever done. Well, one of the greatest things for myself that I've ever done. Because when I went solo, I was able to discover who I was. I even have a shirt, I might show it, but that shirt actually symbolizes a lot because it shows me that it did evolve as a person and that I did make the right decision. But it's my old high school athletic shirt, and that I actually was on a team. But first and foremost, trying to understand the concept of eliminating the subhumans is, trivial among a lot of people that I talk to. I think for a necessary value as a soul, you have to do it. You have to eliminate the subhumans. That means cutting all contact, eradicating any hobby or anything that you used to do with them, and, ultimately becoming a better person out of it. And it can be in different aspects. It doesn't have to be about video games, gaming. It can also be about clubbing. It can also be about drinking. It can also be about a bunch of different negative vices, right? So that's what happened. In my notes here, I talk about how I had to sacrifice these people, and then, I was able to now indulge in intellectual conversations with non-subhumans, with different people, and, a lot of different types of people. Like, I got out of the ideal where I was with, just a certain group of people, and I became a people's person. And in this case, it doesn't mean appeasing people, but it means the fact that I didn't have a label anymore. I wouldn't label myself as someone who just played games. I was able to talk to the athletes, the popular girls, the nerds, like all different types, right? You know, I was conversing with all these different types of people in every way. The YNs, the Arabs, you know, like, and I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't sacrifice the subhumans. And here's the thing, right? So now that after I've said that, I was able to, you know, have intellectual conversations with the people around me. And I mean that in, you know, a half-heartedly kind of way, because, you know, 90% of the people that I did talk to in high school were absolute retards. They had no clue that they even had a brain, okay? And, you know, this is not coming from a place of egoism. This is coming from a place of, you know, talking to a lot of people over the course of a lot of my life. But through the results about that, you know, sacrificing the subhumans, I was able to actually build connections with a lot of people. And you know what? From high school, I still have a couple people that, not more than a couple, a lot of people that I do talk to, that I do, you know, foresee as, you know, people that I can interact with and that are actual intellectuals. But more importantly, like when I did that, when I got rid of the subhumans, I was able to talk to my family. And by my family, I mean my cousins, who are basically my brothers, my cousins, couple of friends, 2 friends pretty much, that are some of the closest people ever to me, ever, which is a great thing. Because, you know, my cousins and my best friends are the few people I can actually hold on, you know, a conversation with, an intellectual conversation about so many different things without feeling like I'm speaking to someone on a lower level. It's insanity. I do have a lot of, you know, ways of speaking that I can indicate, that I've hidden from most people my true self, and that I've hidden from most people my mental capacity, and, you know, conversing in a way that is, you know, using your actual brain. But it's because a lot of people in this modern day are genuinely subservient in the mind.
Are you that mentally enslaved and intellectually subservient and intellectually molested and ideologically molested?
And, you know, they really don't deserve a lot of me. One of the quotes, there's a quote from Machiavelli, which is, everyone sees who you appear to be and nobody experiences who you actually are. Or actually, it's few experience who you actually are. And, you know, this kind of ties into the fact about being your true self. And it's not like I'm trying to hide my true self on purpose. It's not like anything to do with manipulation or anything like that. No. Honestly, no. It's just the fact that you have to learn how to play into parts with people. And ultimately, 90% of people aren't even going to be close to be able to handle your intellectual value. And it's insanity, because, you know, you can be that person that tries to bring out that intellectual value from the other person, but they're so subservient through everything that they consume, whether it be their parents, the media, the TikTok, whatever. And most of these people, you're talking to literally a wall. You're talking to someone that has not gained consciousness yet, and it's insanity. So I have to learn how to do that for people to bring out their intellectual value. But in the case of, you know, recently, I just have to focus on actually furthering that intellectual value in myself. But aside from that Machiavelli quote, Machiavelli. I mean, other than that, I do want to talk about my next point here, which is practically how you shouldn't feel guilty about eliminating the subhumans of Earth, and that, you know, you shouldn't feel guilty. And people outgrow each other. Talking strictly on a basis of friendships, and by friendships, whether it be male or female, it doesn't really matter in this case scenario. That's my next point here. It talks about that. And ultimately, eradicating those people from your existence will allow you to meet even more intelligent people. Eradicating those people will allow you to reach a point where you can find people above them and on the same level as you that, you know, are actually intelligent and can actually do stuff. But it's also important to acknowledge that some of these people do actually have valuable ways of, you know, talking to you, whether it be through whatever. Right? It's one thing to like string a person along or whatever for, you know, their, you know, how intelligent they are, but, you know, let's kind of get into deeper stuff. But it doesn't hurt, and I'm talking about this is strictly in real life. I don't know if this applies online. I don't really care if it applies online, but because, like, why would I know if someone's an idiot and a retard? And so, like, you'll hear my point in a sec. But if someone's an idiot on the and a retard online, that's their consistency, but they say one smart thing, now I'm gonna be like, okay, yeah. That doesn't really make sense. I would only do it for in real life. And so the point is that, yes, some of these subhumans may bring some insightful value. There are some people that I've talked to that are just, you know, completely shot in the head mentally. But one or two things they say actually brings intelligence and makes me see stuff, you know? Like, it could be through whether they talk about relationships, or they talk about, you know, society, or they talk about the media, or they talk about, you know, war, or they talk about politics. In short, my main thing that I'm trying to portray here is that you shouldn't just shut out all subhumans with your mind. You shouldn't just negate anything they say because they're a subhuman, but you can actually take from their perspective. And you know what I'm trying to say. You can, I wouldn't say use them, but in this scenario, I would say, yes, I appreciate this conversation. I appreciate this way of conversing with you. Maybe in every single other aspect of your life you fall short, but in dating you're good. Every single other aspect in life you fall short, but in wealth you're intelligent. You know what I mean? So you can take, but you don't have to indulge their further conversations when it gets into other stuff, because you know that they lack in that. And you know, again, this is not coming from a place of ego and not from a place of all knowing and all, you know what I mean? This is coming from a place of a person who has had hundreds and hundreds of experiences with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, you know, and this is no exaggeration, right? I have talked to many people, and no bullshit, 90% of the time, these niggas are retarded. 90% of the time, they don't provide value. There's few subhumans where you can take one thing, but 9% of these people don't know what the hell is going on. It's truly, like, it's truly sad. But anyways, my point is that you shouldn't feel guilty for, you know, again, reiterating my point, you shouldn't feel guilty for eradicating the subhumans in your life, but you should also take the few things you can get from those subhumans and just tell them, just get them out of here, bro. Just get them out of here. Now, there is another quote I do want to say here, and that ties into what I just said by being, the first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. Again, you surround yourself with subhumans, that you become one. This is a tale as old as time. Everybody knows you are the average of the 5 friends around you. Well, in any case, that is the truth. Just, I don't even need to explain it, just accept that. And that quote is by Machiavelli. I actually do, you know, I am reading up on him, and I do find him insightful. I like a lot of his quotes. Now I want to talk about my next point here, is try to find people of your intelligence level. Try to seek out people more intelligent than you, and try to interact with non-subhumans more, because if you do interact with the lesser humans more, they will absorb you. You need to have the brotherhood and, you know, the conflict to seek out and improve your life. Now, what do I mean by conflict? 99% of people will avoid conflict at all costs, especially verbal discourse. But unfortunately, you need that to grow as a person. You need verbal conflict to actually process what's going on in our society and in our modern day. And as a modern day man, that is a necessity and a requirement. The fact is, even through people that I talk to, you don't need to argue with the lesser people, you know what I mean? You don't need to argue with them, but you should indulge in verbal conflict with your peers. When people hear conflict, they get scared. They're like, why would I want to fight with my friends? That's what these niggas dumb it down to. Why would I want to fight with my friends? No, it's if you truly believe something in your soul and your heart, and the person closest to you is against it. And I'm not talking about some crazy big stuff. I'm talking about like some simple stuff. It could be about really anything, but you know that the conflict won't proceed your friendship with that person. But if it's something passionate about, you should fight with it, right? And, you know, let's say it's about like something about like some game or something, right? And I don't know, I'm using games here as a, you know, kind of a thing revolving around against. But let's say my friend is like, oh yeah, this guy's good in this game, and I'm like, no, he's not. This guy's better. And he's like, no, he's not. Look at the stats. And I was like, okay, but what about this stat is on this guy? He's better. And, you know, that's the only example I could think of right now, unfortunately, because I'm extremely tired. That's why my voice sounds like this, and I'm running out of time. But imagine that, but cranked up a notch, like some big notches. You should have that verbal conflict, and you should be passionate about it. Like, even on something like as stupid as that, I'll go hella passionate. And it's not to rage bait, and it's not to hate. It's just funny, and it's just, you know, your mind will grow as a person when you have conflict, or verbal conflict with the ones that you keep close. It's very important. And, you know, to have that back and forth with an intelligent person will make your mind grow 1,000,000,000 times more than, you know, being right on something with a subhuman, on a topic or whatever. So, you know, I know that was kind of a quick point, but, you know, I just really wanted to talk about that really quick. You know, I just want to put a quote here from Nietzsche. We praise or blame accordingly to whether the one or the other offers a greater opportunity for our power of judgment to shine out. So, how would I interpret this? I would interpret this in a way where with humanity and with humans, we, you know, constantly, you know, judge and this and that, and, you know, we section people based on our minds. But pretty much the fact is that a person that sections you, when you shine out and you break out and you do all of this stuff, right? As he says, shine out. And you do all this stuff and you break their mental image of you. They cannot handle it. And you should not seek praise from that person, because they already perceived you as a certain thing, and you do not need the praise from that person when you proceed their label. I like Nietzsche's too. He has some good quotes. I really like philosophers. The book I'm reading, again, The Way of the Superior Man, it has some good philosophers in it. I'm pretty sure they're both in that. Machiavelli and Nietzsche. But this video is, again, not meant to be anything to do with ego. I just need to get some of my thoughts out there, and I want to find more intelligent people to converse with. So I'm probably going to be making something soon. Stay tuned. But not until I feel like I've built enough of a following and a gathering, and until enough angels join me, then I'll be fine with this. Video is already like hella long. I'm gonna have to cut so much out, but see, this is the thing, I barely planned anything, bro. Like, I probably have like 200 words here in my notes app about this video, and this video is already like 30 minutes long. I'm gonna have to 35 minutes long. I'm gonna have to cut so much. But again, this video is not gonna be highly edited. It's just gonna be my thoughts and how I perceive, you know, the people of the world. So thank you for listening to me. I really hope you gain some intelligence out of this, and you know, eliminate the subhumans as foretold in my video. And if you have to go at it alone for a bit, go at it alone. But it's better to go at it alone than to go at it with subhumans. And, you know, that should have been one of my points, but I'm really running out of time here. So again, thank you for watching. Please help me get my message out there. Help me change the world. Help me change the lives of people around the world. That's my goal. That's my plan. That's my purpose. That's my mission, to do that. And I hope some of my advice has made you think, because that is also what I want, the result of some of my ways that I put myself out there to be. And for what needed to be gained is, again, I'll reiterate it as many times as I need to, eliminate the subhumans. And every single time I have, my life has improved. So that's the proof, I guess. If you want proof, that's the proof. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to subscribe, guys. So I can continue changing people's lives and try to push this video out there for the algorithm. Try to like it, try to comment. YouTube will recommend me more, and I can change the world. That's my mission. That's my goal. To break societal norms and to change the world, because people are too conditioned in this life, and I think I'm too smart for that. Thanks for watching this video, guys, and I'll see you guys in my next video, guys. Peace.